We're in the main, the Toren Fusion 5, the Toren Z, and the Toren Delicat barrel room. So all our wines get matured in French oak barrels and American oak barrels, 2 to 5 liters specifically. So the reason why we use both French oak and American oak is that they both give this very unique nuances to the wine. The American oak we use specifically for Malbec. Now, Malbec in itself, for lack of maybe a better word, is a very voluptuous wine. So it's got a lot of aroma, a lot of textures, and American oak on its own gives you almost this nice sweetness, which basically just brings that wine together and package it really splendidly. The French oak is a little bit more classical. So what it does is it allows the variety to shine through a little bit better. And that's what we use on our Cabernet Sauvignon, our Cabernet Franc, our Merlot, and our Petit Verdot. The barrels that we also use is new. Most of them is second fill, and then we've also got a component that is third fill. This is very important. As you can imagine, a new French oak barrel or American oak barrel will give you a lot of wood components in the wine that is in it. So you also have to put a big, bold wine into a new barrel. Then if you use that same barrel a second time, a year later, the component of wood and wood characteristics that it will impart into your wine is a little bit less. The third time you use it, it's actually very little influence into what you would just find in a normal wine if you were to age it in a stainless steel tank. We use all these different techniques, all these different oaks from very specific forests, very specific grains, very specific toasting levels, 3 years of different age levels, to build little micro components, essentially colors that we will paint our picture with. We're standing in a very special room at the moment. So behind me is the barrels for Book 17 and Black Lion, which are maturing. In the background, you can also see a separate room where we actually ferment the barrels of the wine inside the barrels. So these 2 wines were born from a passion to achieve perfection, as simple as that. When it actually originated was 2009, was an amazing vintage in South Africa. After harvest, we sat down with the young wines, we reflected a bit on them, and we actually asked ourselves the question, how do we make the best wine, not only in Stellenbosch, not only in South Africa, but how do we actually make a wine that can compete on the biggest stage of all and win? So that's a concept that we used here for Book 17 and Black Lion. If you take everything except the absolutes out of the question. So here we talk, for instance, something like logistics. Let's take it out of it. Let's take labor out of it. Let's just talk about absolute great quality. How do you make the best wines in the world? Very simple. The best wines in the world come from the best soils in the world. And that's what we identify as very first of all. So on our piece of land, with the use of aerial imagery, as well as comprehensive knowledge between myself, the managing partners, we've got a wealth of knowledge of actually farming this land, kilometers and kilometers of walking the land. So we identified the most perfect balanced spots. Then we go a step further and we say, okay, on these spots, let's go and identify the most balanced quality vines. We go a step further, and on the most balanced quality vines, we ask ourselves the questions, what is the most perfect grapes? We will limit the amount of grapes to between 6 and 8 bunches, depending on the vintage. Then we will go into little fine details and we'll remove the shells. It's very easy to make perfect wine from it. Also, the way that we grow the berries, it's in a much more opulent style. So we use a wide array of vineyard techniques to grow a berry that actually has got much more phenolic content, a berry that's got much bigger and wider range of flavor profiles, a lot more depth. So it's a very opulent berry that we actually grow. And what we want to make here is a wine that don't just showcase this opulence, but all the rest. It's very easy to make perfect wine from it. Also, the way that we grow the berries, it's in a much more opulent style. So we use a wide array of vineyard techniques to grow a berry that actually has got much more phenolic content, a berry that's got much bigger and wider range of flavor profiles, a lot more depth. So it's a very opulent berry that we actually grow. And what we want to make here is a wine that don't just showcase this opulence, but all the restrained side, the little bit more mineral side. And that we incorporate by using a very minimalistic winemaking technique. So the berries will be decanted into small French oak barrels. So that is what you actually see in the background over there. And then the winemaking technique will only entail rolling that barrels every few hours, depending on the variety in there and the style that we want to achieve for that specific barrel. That process continues for almost upwards of 2 months, after which we will screen the grapes through a sieve, separating the wine and the skins. The skins will then go back into French oak barrels to mature for up to almost 24 months of aging, and that you will see in the room where I'm currently standing.